Hello guys, here's episode 3. This is literally right after I recorded episode 2, so my throat is dry as fuck. But I guess I'm gonna have to do it because there's no way to back out of this right now. And so here it is. Obviously this is a decisive victory from my previous battle. I collected 7 fragments and 1 shard. So that's 5 plus 7. That's 12 weight. I should have I think 12 weight from my shards. So obviously, after battle you see your XP, right? For surviving the mission, each character gets 2 XP, so you definitely want them to keep surviving, not only for the fact that they're not going to take injuries that actually accumulate, but you also get more XP for keeping them alive, so think about that. Optional objective is a massive XP bonus. It's 3 XP. That's why I always try to go for it regardless. As long as I can do it, I would do it. Even if one of my guys have to go down for it, it's still kind of worth it because all of your dudes get this bonus, and it's 3 XP. Okay, if one of your guys loses out on 2 XP for surviving the mission, you're still getting 3 XP for completing the objective, the optional objective, which is why I kept going. Yeah, but I still want to go get that one last word stone because then I can complete the objective. That's kind of why that was there. Decisive victory, the only way you can get decisive victory is by getting the optional objective completion as well as winning. So, that kind of goes hand in hand. They should really put that together. Because decisive victory's definition is winning the main objective and the optional objective. This character actually was the most valuable warrior because I guess he did the most damage. He took out the enemy leader and then he did a ton of damage on the hero. Yeah, he got 1 XP for each enemies that he put out of action, and the one that he did was the enemy leader, if I remember correctly. Now, this is why this is the video that I'm going to slightly talk about builds. I'm not actually going to give you detailed builds of my own just yet because I'm still in the middle of figuring that out for myself. I haven't really progressed that far in the game to have a full build, so I haven't tested out an entirely maxed out character yet, but I have progressed far enough in the game where I've had rank 5 heroes or rank 5 characters, so I've experienced some of the later skills and stuff like that, so I kind of know what direction I want to head in, and I want to share in this video some of my thought processes on what goes through my head while I plan these things out, because I think out of all of the strategy games, at least for me personally, it is both the most frustrating experience and ironically the most exciting experience to plan out a build, to plan out a character build, to strategize, to basically theory craft, because theory crafting allows you to design for yourself a sort of thing, a toolkit to be better, right? It's like if you play a game like Magic the Gathering, it's like your theory crafting would be building a deck around a certain idea or goal, and building that deck for me is both the most challenging aspect of playing Magic the Gathering and the most fun. I almost spent, when I played Magic the Gathering more seriously, I spent more time editing my deck and just poring over lists of cards and deck lists, of looking at what other players did and trying to figure out how to tweak it to make it better for myself. I spent more time doing that than actually playing Magic. Like, I think I spent 90% of my time editing decks, and then maybe only 10% of the time actually playing Magic the Gathering. Just to give you an idea of the ratio. It's interesting, I guess, that you could think about it also, like, in terms of battle, because this is a war game. You want to spend as much time training and preparing for a fight as you can, and when you actually fight, it can be over in an instant. Okay, a fight is like one moment, but every moment leading up to that one moment in preparation is what helps you get that moment in your favor. So that's what's happening. I mean, if you looked at my previous video with the fight, it really wasn't a whole lot of turns. Okay, it was maybe like 3 or 4 turns, and I already accomplished victory. I mean, yeah, it was a, you know, early, low-level fight, like, first fight ever, like, in this campaign, so, like, nobody really had that many troops. I really only had to take out 2 key characters on the enemy team. In fact, the brethren on that team didn't even show up. I don't know where they went. They were just off going somewhere to chill, I guess. But they should have showed up, because they would have really turned the tide of that battle. The ones that did show up really did try to make a difference, especially the enemy hero. He really cut me off there, and I was worried for a second. Almost lost my hero, but luckily RNG was in my favor, and I managed to scare the crap out of his hero, the mutant, and he failed his all-alone check. Luckily, I remembered the all-alone check and actually put my Warp Guard in to the fight to do that. Otherwise, I might have just lost my hero. Anyway, I will be going to the next warrior and show you his XP and stuff like that. Keep in mind that, you know, there's a time factor in this game, in the sense that every fight, like, you can only have one fight a day, right? And then you have to go to the next day. So think of each fight as an opportunity to earn XP for your characters. Okay? And if you think in those terms, how fast you progress on your XP bar in relation to how fast you can get Wordstone is how easily you can get ahead of the curve. What I'm saying is, this game will get harder as you progress. Like, obviously, regardless. But the progression, from what I can tell, is gauged from how much Wordstone you deliver. And it happens like clockwork, meaning you're trying to go against time here. What you want to do, obviously, is to maximize your XP gain over time. That is how you get ahead of the game. If you're getting ahead of the game, how do you know? Is when your fights become so much easier, because your heroes and your characters are higher level than the enemies in the game. And you can do that. It's just, the only way to do that is by basically not just winning a fight, but winning a decisive victory and getting the optional objective, taking out as many enemies as you can. In fact, there's one time I actually took out all of the enemies except for one. I almost got a crushing victory and, like, basically annihilated the enemy team, but I missed that last warrior, and then he routed instead of me being able to finish him off. But that gave me a lot more XP than if I just barely win, or if I start losing guys and having them go down. So you really want to maximize your XP gain. And here in this example, in one fight, I gained 7 XP. I wouldn't say that's a lot. I mean, I've gone up to like 11 XP in one fight, because one dude just like killed half the enemy team on his own. But that was a higher level fight. But I'd say for the first fight, the 7 XP growth is pretty decent, because if I can maintain this pace, the second fight will put me over the edge and I will have a rank 1 hero just in my second fight, so that by the time my first shipment needs to be sent out, I should be rank 3 or 4, and that'll put me way ahead of the curve, because that's around the time when, after the first shipment, around that time is when you get your first story mission, where you actually have to fight like this giant monster dude on the humans team, the I think it's the ogre or some shit like that. But yeah, I mean, I'll get to it, like I'll get to it when we get there, but that's an extremely hard fight, and if you don't get ahead of the curve early, that fight is gonna wreck your team. And so I'm just trying to prepare as much as possible by getting more XP early on my team. And yeah, it was the first fight. It looked pretty challenging, but the fights later actually end up being a lot harder. And, or at least, I mean, it's a lot harder to win a fight without losing anybody and like having all your guys alive at the end. Like, it's really hard to maintain that, but you really want to keep doing that, because each time you survive, that's 2 XP, okay? Each time you get the objective, that's 3 XP. So these things really, really add up over time, and you really want to maintain that pace, because by the time you get to late game content, you want to be like pretty specialized in your build already. At that time, you want to have all the skills that you want and all that stuff, and the only way to really do that is by doing well. And hopefully, I mean, this is the whole series of my video, and the whole point of my series of Let's Plays is to also show you guys how to do better. So hopefully that's educational for you. So this guy only did 6 because he didn't kill anybody. But, you know, 6 XP on my henchman, that's pretty decent, especially since his XP bar is a lot lower expectation. He only needs 9 experience to gain a level, as opposed to, like, my leader needing, like, 12. So, yeah, this is, you know, that's what everybody got. I think one of my guys was super low. I'm actually quite surprised that, like, my 20 HP or whatever guy didn't get an injury, because sometimes they will get like a minor injury when your guy didn't really go down in a fight, but he was badly hurt, like he was only like a sliver of health. You will get this thing called a minor injury, and you would have to treat it, and it'll take like 1 or 2 days to heal. So I'm pretty surprised I actually didn't get that. I guess I got pretty lucky. My decisive victory gave my army, or I guess my warband, 4 experience out of 5. So I only need 1 more to pop over the edge and get my level 1 on my warband. And when I level 1, like when I level up a my warband, I get an additional soldier. So that is very helpful, and it helps also put me ahead of the game. In the way, or at least catch up to it, because it does progress pretty quickly. So I'm going to continue. Yeah, like I said, I had 8 fragments and a shard. Okay, that's 5 plus 8, so 13. Should have 13 weight from the first fight. Not that great, because I've actually seen clusters before on like the first fight, but it was decent. So yeah, I have 13 weight on there. Every time you return from a mission, you must pay the upkeep cost of your warriors, as well as treat any injuries. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So yeah, another reason why you want to maximize your wordstone gain per battle is because at the end of every fight, you're gonna have to pay your warriors an upkeep cost. And if you're not gonna make each fight worth your time in terms of the value of wordstones that you get, you'll eventually end up depleting your money, because the way you gain gold is by turning in wordstones. So that's basically your income. So if you don't keep up with your income, and you obviously have to keep paying your troops, then you're gonna fall behind, and you're gonna like not have enough money to pay for the skill upgrades and all that. So you wanna stay on top of that. That was only 23 gold, so it wasn't that bad. Smugglers Den hasn't opened yet. Sorry, I didn't mean to